I would like to thank all the presenters before me, and thank you to the people in the panel with me, and the feedback, and the audience as well. It's just been great. Really enjoyed this. And there are two other things I have to say. There are two apologies I have to make. The first is that I'm not going to quite talk about all the things that were mentioned in the description. I need to add on a few things. And the second, more importantly, is I have to make a big confession. Charles has mentioned the phrase badass and a group of badasses repeatedly over these past few days. I'm not one of those people. And I say that because I don't necessarily behave that way, but I like to think I know some of them, and I hope that I'm bringing those people forward. And I do that through all the hats I wear. I have 15 of these, and I'm showing you 3 of them up there. And through these, in particular, the Black Landscape Architects Network, and being the VP for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Recruiting, and there's a quiet retention built into that as well. I've really tried to take advantage of the intersection of all of these things at this point in time to advance these voices and to make change, not necessarily through my actions, but to allow and afford opportunities for others to be in those spaces in the future. So between BlackLAN and CELA, the things I'm doing are essentially trying to advocate for underrepresented people. In the case of BlackLAN, it's an organization that is focusing on the advancement of and opportunities for Black landscape architects. Specifically, through CELA, there are a combination of initiatives, specifically through scholarship and education and research. And I'll start by grounding all of this in the larger picture. These are the numbers of students, or more accurately, the number of future professionals, or the percentages and the demographic breakdown for future professionals as we see it in 2021. So you can see that it is indeed still a very white profession, and this is a problem as we go forward, because if you think about these folks, in 30 years, they will be the leaders in this room. Some will be a little bit sooner, but 30 years, right? Meanwhile, we also know at the same time that the demographic breakdown of the United States in particular is going to change drastically. So instead of worrying about what's happening now and not thinking about the future, I think it's equally important we think about who's in the room, or how we get people in that room in the present, so they're there in the future. So they're there to be prepared for that change, and also to just acknowledge the fact that the world is different. It's not based off of the same fundamental conventions of thinking or experience. We've heard a lot about joy as a fundamental thing, and not so much about beauty, a lot about joy. Those are two really different ideas about place and the way you experience them, and different ways of approaching similar things. In the case of the Black Landscape Architects Network, which was founded in 2012, was originally thought of in a meeting in 2020 or 2010 at Howard University. The idea of having an organization that specifically supported the needs and concerns of Black landscape architects came about, and has since become a nonprofit organization, particularly gathered steam just before the murder of George Floyd, and we've been trying to catch up ever since. Our organization is founded on 3 basic principles: education, community, and service. Trying to advance these ideas through a range of initiatives and opportunities for our organization. There are approximately 240 members internationally right now. And we're launching a new campaign as of San Francisco, ASLA San Francisco, where we're describing the series of opportunities and initiatives to begin to really support the people in our organization, from those folks who are senior and well-experienced in the stories they can tell us, to the students who need scholarships and support, and in between, the emerging professionals and established people, faculty, practitioners alike. There are 2 things we do that we are particularly proud of. The first are the symposia, Black History Month in February, and then for Juneteenth, we have a symposium as well. In February, we celebrate the present, those designers who are the future, or the problems or the problems of the present that we can see now. In Juneteenth, we step back and reflect on the longer legacy of African Americans in landscape history and the impact that it's had on our lives and on the landscape itself around us. But more importantly, because I'm talking about badasses today, it's the Edward Lyons Pryce Scholarship. Edward Lyons Pryce was born in 1914 and transferred to Tuskegee University and got a degree in agriculture in 1937. He earned his BSLA from Ohio State in 1948 and his MLA in 1953 from Berkeley. Edward Pryce was the first fellow in 1979. And to put that in perspective, there are approximately 1,400 fellows in the ASLA. 1979, Edward Lyons Pryce is the first of a total of maybe 12. And the 13th will be recognized in San Francisco, Ramon Murray from Miami. So as a leader and as an educator, as a person who stands out, he's one of these first people that we really look to as a leader and an activist because he was recognized for his ability to stand out above and beyond, and to become one of those people that we can look at as part of the larger legacy and history of landscape architecture, and also someone we can point to as Black landscape architects and say, you've arrived and you're helping us be recognized for the work that we're doing as well. From 1948 to 1955, he was the department head of ornamental horticulture. And then he continued on and taught and was a leader, and one of his missions was to explicitly say there aren't enough Black people in the profession, and we need more people in there, and continued on with that tradition even after he retired, when he became a prolific artist and worked in craft. So that's one side of the story, recognizing people like this, and then recognizing through their name the efforts of students, Black students, the future of what we're trying to do. And I know there's at least one person in this audience who has applied for the scholarship. The deadline is tonight, so, and I've been tracking applications through this entire session, so, clock's ticking. But it's an honor to make these connections between someone like this and students, and how to make them cognizant of this larger history, to say that, which is one thing that we hear repeatedly from people my age and half a generation younger, these faces, these figures weren't necessarily snow. So now we're making these connections, these longer historic connections, and allowing them to feel the relief of knowing there are other people who have started to fight this battle for them and will continue to do so, and that we hope that they'll continue to do that as well. So with that in mind, the 2022 award recipients are Maurice Gatson and Jalen Pugh. We have two more that we'll be announcing in November at ASLA. Again, deadlines tonight, midnight. But this is our future, right? These are the people, these are the badasses. Not me, those three people you just saw. Now, to the other half, the Council of Educators in Landscape Architecture. Parallel to the BlackLAN Scholarship, CELA, and actually a year ahead of it, introduced the Dr. Charles Fountain Scholarship. Dr. Charles Fountain was known for his work at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro. Born in 1920 in Virginia, he went on and got his MLA in 1965 at the University of California, Berkeley. In 1971, he was responsible for a major conference on developing landscape architecture programs in historically Black colleges and universities, and was also appointed a member of the ASLA Minority Recruitment Task Force, all in that same year. He was the founder of the program at NC-A&T, and at that point in time, it was the first and the only landscape architecture program among the 8 CBUs. Now there's Morgan State, which has a graduate program as well. In 1989, he retired and officially became a emeritus in 1990. Recognizing his specific effort to diversity and his tireless work in trying to diversify the profession through the SLA and through the university, and his steadfast rigor with his students and with his colleagues as well. SELA has the Dr. Childs Fountain Scholars Program. Now in its third year, the announcement just went out, a cohort of students from all SELA institutions are recognized for their efforts as being leaders in their institutions, right? So it's not a matter of us, of the SELA board or people in that organization selecting. It's a matter of the institution saying this person is celebrating or demonstrating excellence as a person of color in our program that we would like to be recognized by SELA nationally. And those individuals are then enabled to apply for the actual Fountain Scholar Award. But I think in some respects it's more important that we not just say, oh, there's a scholarship involved. It's more to say that these are people who are trying to do the work and trying to make a change for themselves and within the profession as well, and how this is the future of the profession. So with that, this is why I'm not a badass, right? It's those faces up there. I'm just trying to make sure that they get the opportunities that they have based off of the work they're doing and the future that they present to us based off of the past we all have. Thank you.